Hi, Soul Family. Happy Cinco de Mayo. It's my nephew's birthday today. That's what I watched. In my dreams last night, I wasn't sure if I was at a wedding reception or I was at a party. And it was all different relatives coming together, and it wasn't a very comfortable place to be. I saw people that were, I guess everyone in the family was of the same religion. And there were some people there that were not of that religion, and it was nice because, you know, the message, the guest of honor that we got, we kept getting it again and again. That's what I watched. I watched somebody come back. Somebody that used to be a part of that whole situation had gone out, done their whole old life. They probably had walked away from that religious family, right? Had gone and done their own thing. And they got an invitation. And remember, Spirit said, this is an invitation you're going to get. We want you to accept it. And so this time, when they came back, they weren't the person they were before. When they were there before, they weren't accepted. They felt ostracized. They felt they were mistreated, right? And they left, and they went out and created a life and stood on their own. And it was difficult for them at first, but they were successful. And then they got the invitation, right? You're invited. And Spirit said, we want you to accept that invitation. We want you to go back. But this time when they went back, they weren't uncomfortable. They didn't feel like they had no interest. It was wonderful to watch. I was showing people that I know doing, in this situation. And somebody said to the one person, well, she's going to be pretty pissed off that you're here. And the person goes, I don't care. And then they went out into where all the other people were, and there was a group of people sitting at this one table. They were off to the side, and they felt uncomfortable, right? They weren't included in everything that was going on, and that person went straight over to them and said, hey, how's it going? Was super nice to them and said, I know what it feels like to be on the outside. I know, because I've been there, And why don't you come along and talked about if they were going to put on these costumes, and one of the big persons there said, oh, cool, what kind of costume? And started naming off different years. And the person said, no, it's from the 1800s. And they're like, oh, man. And he goes, no, come on, it's going to be really cool. Come along. So they went, and then all of a sudden I switch, and I'm at this, I'm at another part in the same situation. And yet I'm with my friend, and we're looking at all these different costumes, right? To me, they look like dresses, but I believe costumes. I know the Jewish people dress up for Purim, right? And the person said, here, I've got all of these, you can have them. Like, I don't want them, right? You can have all of these. And the person starts looking through them and says, well, let me take a look and see if they're worth what you want for them, because I guess he figured they were going to sell them. And the person, whoever I was, looked at the pile of stuff there and had a little bit of a hesitation, because you know when you're going to start a new life and you're going to do something, that's what you're meant to do, but at the last minute there's kind of like a hesitation, right? Didn't really care about the dresses or the outfits or whatever, but there were these beaded bags with these really cool beads on them, and the beads had been taken off the bags, and yet they thought that was kind of like a tug at their heart, that they liked those, but then they said, nah, you can have it all. So I know that in Bible times, beads and coins, beads were traded as currency, right? So that's something of worth, and your purse is what you carry, what's worth a lot to you, right? It could be your self-worth, whatever is worthy or of meaning to you. And so it was clear to me that this person was, what they once thought was valuable to them, they're trading away. I'm trading that life for this life, and you're welcome to it. And then they went into what looked like the reception hall, right? And at the same time, it felt like it was a school, because I saw, it might have been because I was in a synagogue, I don't know. And the teacher was in there, and everyone was seated, and I came in late. My friend wasn't ready yet, so I went in, and I didn't go to the table that I was supposed to go to, the table that I normally would have gone to. I went and sat with my friends, and I just sat down there, and I thought, I like this whole freaking dream. It was the guest of honor. It's exactly what it was. So the reason I'm telling you this is sometimes the messages that we get don't play out in the physical in that way. I got an invitation. You're welcome to come, right? And it was a symbolic message. This person was invited to come and be a part of that. Do you want to be a part of that? No. You know what? I've decided I don't. But I'm going to let you know. So I'm going to show up and I'm going to hand this back to you, and I'm going to say, you know what? I don't want this. You can have it. It was basically somebody saying that. I don't want this anymore. You can have it. You're welcome to it. There was a little tug at the heart because it was hard. You know, there's emotional attachment. Things that you may have been people involved that you aren't going to be around anymore, don't agree with. You realize that once you make that decision, if they're, you know, as a Jehovah's Witness, once I made that decision with my son, that was it. And I knew that that was it, right? You either leave what you're doing, your spiritual work, and come back to the organization, the company, or you're dead to me. So I knew once I made my choice, and so in the dream, this person knew that as well. Once I make this decision, that's why it was tugging at my heartstrings, because, you know, I know what's going to happen. But they made their decision and they were comfortable with it. And then I had something play out in the house here. And anything that happens with my animals is a message to what's happening with other people in my life or someone around you. Now, this could be you or someone in your life, right? So my landlord has 3 cats. He has his 2 cats and the one cat we rescued from the drug house, right? Prince, Dark Prince. And I have my Liger, which is me, Lion and Tiger, right? That's my main cat. And then I have Siam and Willow that I rescued. Siam is like a mirror of my spiritual twin. And so Prince can't come and live with me because he would beat up my animals, and someone else has taken this spot, right? But there is somebody that keeps trying to come into my life, energetically and physically, keeps trying to connect, kind of block, stand between my twin and I. I know that. And this cat keeps trying to break into my house, right? So today, I went down to do laundry. You think about doing your dirty laundry, right? My dream I had a while ago, I talked to you guys about somebody doing their laundry, and somebody was saying something to someone else, and they said, you know what, you got your own, I said, like, you got your own dirty laundry to take care of. Why don't you do your own laundry, right? You take care of that. I'll take care of mine, you take care of yours. And so I went down there, and it was interesting because what it was I came out on the patio here, and I have a cat bed normally that lies there that's for Siam. And then I have a bed here that Liger lays on. Now, there is another energy that's connected to my main cat. I won't say who it is, but I know who it is. And it's a male. And I came out on the patio, and it was really hot, and I smelled cat pee. And I thought, what? And I looked around. Sure enough, Liger's gone and peed on Siam's bed, trying to mark his territory, marking the dominance, right? This is my spot. This is mine, and he pees on it. So I thought, damn it. So I throw it, I take it, and I go to put it in the laundry to wash it, right? Because it doesn't matter what Liger chooses, it's what I choose. It doesn't matter what you want, it's what I want. I make the decision of who I want in this house, in my spiritual house, in my energy, right? You don't make that decision for me, I do. So I went downstairs and I had it in the laundry. I went to wash it, and when I opened the door, Bella came out, which is my landlord's female cat, the older one. And she was in the hallway then, and she wanted to go into his suite, his suite downstairs. So I opened the door, and Bella walked in, and Prince, I didn't know, Prince was in there, and he had been in there with Daisy, I guess, the other cat, Daisy Duke. So we talk about Daisy Duke to me, there's 2 ways it can come across. It can come across as a man that's got kind of a feminine look, or maybe has that very gentle, loving nature. But no, Daisy's not like that. Daisy she may look that way, but is a scrapper. So that's what it looks like. It's somebody who has who looks very beautiful, but they're not feminine, right? I know who it is. So when I open the door, the Dark Prince jumps on top of Bella. Now, Bella, in the other house, it could be, you know, there's a female in the house, or again, another feminine energy, right? It could have been a man with a feminine energy. And that Dark Prince jumped on that feminine, loving energy, and he started beating her up, like really bad. It was awful, and I couldn't stop it. And that's the message. I can't stop it. And we can't stop anything. Whatever is set in motion, whatever's going to play out is going to play out, right? But it was awful to watch. So they have this scrap in the middle of the floor. I'm trying to chase him to keep him away from Bella. And then they go shooting in behind my landlord's couch. And it was like a tunnel through. and then they shoot out the other end, and Prince is still chasing Bella down the stairs. I'm chasing after them. I get down to the bottom, and there's a total scrap, and then all of a sudden, it's the coolest thing ever that happened. It was as though Prince thinks he's fighting with Bella, right? He thinks he thinks he knows who he's fighting with. Now, it could be that somebody has been allowing something to take place, allowing you to believe, like, I'll let you think I'm stupid, so I get the information that I need. I'll let you think I'm stupid, so you play your hand, and then I can see what's going on, right? So it could have been that, or it could have been someone else. So all I know is I also thought who he was chasing down the stairs was Bella. But when we got to the bottom of the stairs, there's a total tumble, and then a fight at the bottom, and then they go racing into the bedroom, and Prince goes, they go underneath the bed, they both though, scrapping under the bed, and then who comes out from underneath the bed, victorious? Daisy, not Bella. When they went in through the tunnel, they switched, and now all of a sudden, who that one was chasing was not the one they thought they were chasing, and it was as though Daisy turned around and looked at Prince and said, I don't know who the fuck you think you're dealing with, but I'm going to show you what's going to go down right now. I'm not afraid of you. And basically beat the shit out of him. He was under the bed cowering. She came out, whoosh, puffed up tail, victorious, right? Remember the victory sparrow? The one that you didn't expect, right? Prince is so used to being a bully, bullying everyone around, pushing everyone around. All of a sudden, he got set in his place, right? So her tail's all puffed up, and I'm looking at her, and I'm like, okay, I didn't even see that you switched places. All of a sudden, it wasn't who he thought he was dealing with. He was dealing with someone else, and I like that, because it's kind of like you may be in a situation, right, and with somebody, and in their past, this is how they dealt with people. They were a bully. Say me, right? I start out with somebody, and I'm kind of passively allowing things to happen, right? But then I start to rise, because remember, someone goes away, grows stronger, and they turn into somebody different, right? They turn into their real powerful higher self. And yet this bully comes back and thinks he's going to pull the same crap on you, and all of a sudden you look at them and say, I don't know who you think you are, but I'll tell you who I am, because that was the message, right? Who do you think you are? No, who do you think you are? Because I'm not who you think you were messing with before. Tables have turned, and that's what happened. The tables had turned, and now I'm going to show you who I am and who you actually are not. And that's what happened. It was pretty cool. And so I went down to and I looked under, I pulled up the bed, and I looked at Prince, and I said, that's what you get. That's your karma. That's what you get. How does it feel? Right? Remember that song? I found you on your knees, picked you up, set you back up on your feet, only to find out that you took advantage of me. How does it feel sitting up there knowing I put you there? Right? Well, now I'm here to tell you that. How does it feel? You think you're a big man on campus now? You're not, right? So I called my landlord, and I said, wow, the War of the Roses just went down. War of the Roses just went down. Okay, so here we begin. Remember Mr. Rosewood, who lost all of his leaves, and we thought he was dead? And I put love and care into him, and I brought him back, and he's thriving. He's a happy little rose bush. Check that out. Happy as a clam, right? And then the one that seemed feminine but had that male energy, this is the one that I thought was Mrs. Rosewood, but look, there's both in there. There's yellow roses and pink roses. So there's two in there. Yeah, that's a feminine, loving, gentle energy, right? But there's a scrapper in there too. There's masculine, divine masculine energy in there. So this could be a beautiful woman, right? A little, small, petite woman, but she's no freaking slouch. She's got the divine masculine in her, and she knows her power. I don't know who you think you're dealing with, but it's not the person, clearly, that you had in your mind, right? It was amazing. So then I come upstairs, and last night I was shown the wisdom of Avalon. I love this, Camelot, right? Spirit's been talking to me about this as far as messages in the last several days. Robin Hood, King Arthur. When King Richard went to war, went to the Crusades, he went off to war. What was happening? He left somebody in charge of the house, right? And wicked Prince John came in, the black sheriff, like the Black Prince, came in and thought that he would run the show because the king was gone. The king wasn't there to stop it. And then comes Robin of Lockley, right? Who comes Robin Hood, and he comes to try and help the people save them from this wicked one that's hurting all the people while the king is gone, right? And so I've been getting all of these messages about all of this. It's all coming together now. It's all coming to a head, because now it's like the king has returned. The king has returned from being gone, and Prince John is going to be dealt with, and it's going to be lockdown time, right? And that's what just that just is what I just saw. So I knew I was to work with the wisdom of Avalon, and I saw the Akashic Tarot, and I kept staring at it, and I was wondering why the Akashic Tarot. It's a difficult deck for me to work with for daily readings. Interesting, I just got a message. But that's what I got, that's what I saw. So I couldn't figure out where to go today for today's reading. I was, the lake was blown out, so I couldn't take the canoe. I wanted to take you guys somewhere pretty. And then I thought maybe I'd go to Fallbrook, and I thought, I'm going to Sedona in less than a week now, and I don't want to be spending the money. It's going to take a tank of gas to get to Sedona, to get to Fallbrook and back, right? And Spirit said to me, don't be blowing your money on stuff. You got to, I've got several days that I'm going to have to account for that I won't be able to work, and gas all the way out there and back, and time that I've missed, not to mention, even if it was just that, what about the time that I'm not working, I'm not making money? So be frugal with what you're doing, or be sensible. I'm ever sensible. That's who I am. So I kept saying, where do you want me to go? Where do you want me to go? And I was standing up on this deck, and I love it up here. I mean, look at this, right? It's beautiful up here. And you can see the storm clouds in the sky. It wants to storm. It's going to start raining here. It's going to rain for the entire week. It's going to rain when I get to Sedona, too, the whole time I'm there. And then the day that I leave Sedona, it's going to be sunny. And that's a message in itself. So I come upstairs, and I thought, all right, well, where should I go? I kept asking, where should I go? And I figured I would see the picture on the cards, right? So I get the Akashic Tarot, and I spread it out. And what comes out? The King of Roses in reverse. The King of Roses in reverse. I'm telling you this because you'll know if this is your story. This has either just happened, or this is about to happen, because that is how it works energetically, right? I witnessed it. I witnessed the War of the Roses. I watched that bully get taken down, right? It was amazing. It was an amazing sight to see. It's like watching karma unfold in front of you. A lot of times people are like, he needs to get his, and we're not supposed to, don't be wishing karma on anyone, because we all have made mistakes, and we all have to be put in our place, right? All of us. But this was like righteous. This was like righteous warfare. It was pretty cool. It was like somebody never thought that they would ever fall. They thought they could do this again and again and again, and they never thought anyone would catch on, or they thought that no one would stand up to them, right? And it was interesting because it wasn't a male that stood up to that wicked prince. It was a female. I like that a lot. Or a feminine energy, somebody that they would have said, who do you think you are, right? You're always riding in the back seat. Oh, you know who I am? I'm the one I was lightning before the thunder. I'm the one who went out and found myself. I'll show you who I am. It was amazing. It doesn't have to be a physical fight, but it's words, it's action, it's intention. You remember the first story. So the King of Roses is what came up. Now look at the color of the roses. Yellow. And remember, when the king went away, he left somebody in charge. Well, when he went away and left someone in charge, that person was abusing their power. They abused the people that were there in that home. Now, the King of Roses could be a feminine energy. As I said, it was a female cat that beat the shit out of that prince. But it could have been what I said. That rose bush is half yellow, half pink. So it could have been a male that is gay or a female that is gay. That's what I'm watching. Or, as I said, someone who appears to be gentle and beautiful but has that masculine energy that stepped into their highest power. So the yellow roses fell off, right? Mr. Rosewood with the yellow lost all of his roses. Everyone thought he was dead. They thought he was dead. Everyone, and what happened? King Richard? They thought he was dead in the Crusades. That's why the Prince John, the wicked sheriff of Nottingham, was trying to get all the money, right? Raping people of their money, and figured he'd get away with it forever because the king was dead, right? And then all of a sudden, here comes Prince, I'm just laughing. King Richard, long leg of the king, right? Here he comes, and he's back. And so the message to reverse King of Roses is basically, there's a disruption with another male, right? Whether it's a friend, a family member, or within a romance. Sparks are gonna fly, right? It's very emotional, and it could become overwhelming, and Spirit says, don't allow yourself to be swept away. But there's an ending of something. Either an ending of the way things are gonna have been proceeding, and we're gonna proceed in a different way now, or an ending of a relationship. But this is what's going on. And it could have been, maybe there's some kind of a love that you had, that you felt, you weren't able to release. Well, this is an ending of it, right? Whatever this ending refers to, something better is coming. Now, at this time, this could be a time when your role as head of the house, husband, boyfriend, right, is greatly diminished. This is when someone's put in their place by a female. Ooh, don't like that, do ya? Now, it could be a time when this goes down, maybe it's unjust, but what I watched was just. Now, you could lose a job over this. You know, how dare you? How dare you? Like the prince said that to the female that went after, because you talk about Robin Hood and Maid Marian. Maid Marian was the one the prince went after. I don't know if you remember in the movie, and we're getting confirmation. It wasn't the queen that went after Prince John. It wasn't even Robin that went after Prince John. It was Maid Marian. She said, I don't know who you think you're fooling with, but I was raised in the forest, and that's me. Right? I align with Artemis. I'm Welsh. I grew up in the forest. And I don't care if you're the king, the prince. I don't care if you're the sheriff. I don't care who you are. I've got angels standing beside me. And when I stand on my path and I speak my truth and you don't like it, that's not my problem. But I'm going to tell you, this is what went down. Because that is what I saw. So a role of a male, it's diminished. Because now this is when you have to listen. Right? You got to listen to what's going on. This could have to do with a lot of different things, actually, as well. That's the main thing, right? This one was raised, she says, I don't know who the hell you think you're dealing with. You wicked king. Because, not wicked king, wicked prince, right? A wicked prince. So there's two brothers, is what I'm getting, right? There's Prince John, and then there's King Richard, who's not there. He's not there to see what's going on. But when he got back, but see, it was already taken care of. Robin Hood and Maid Marian took care of it, didn't they? He came after her, and she fought with him. He tried to touch her. He was gonna rape her. And she's like, I don't know who, she fought tooth and nail. And it's like this person that keeps coming after me. I made my choice. I don't want your energy in here. You stay away from me, period, right? I don't know who you think you're dealing with, that you can just come and you know, lie and manipulate and steal what from another what is not yours. That's not happening. That's what was one message as well. So never be afraid to stand in your personal power. Somebody's crossing your boundaries. You speak your truth and you let them know, I don't care who you are, you respect my boundaries, or we'll go down to the mat. And I've got that thing in me. I know what this feels like because I got that in me. I told you guys I've got that Chihuahua thing in me, right? I don't care if you're a freaking lion. A lion stands in front of me, I don't see size. Told you, my brothers and my uncle and my relatives, they're all like 6'4", 5". Big guys, 350 pounds, right? That's what I was raised with. I don't see size. And I forgot, maybe you can't see my higher self. Unfortunately, you can't see my higher self. And I was talking about this, and I know that the first time I saw my higher self, she was 15 feet tall. But the other day, that was years ago, right? The other day when I was talking about it, I said to you guys, my higher self is 25 feet tall. And as soon as it came out of my mouth, I thought, what? And I said something to somebody. And I said, I don't know why that came out of my mouth. I know she was 15 feet tall. And then I said, she must have grown. And she's grown. I've grown. She's grown, of course. Substantially. Now I'm 25 feet tall. So you don't see that. Remember yesterday when I was saying, you may not see the angels that I see standing there. You think I'm crazy. She's psycho. She's hot, but she's psycho, a little bit psycho, right? I don't see anybody standing next to you. Well, you don't have to, because I have seen the angels standing next to me. And when I'm given a message, I stand with a myriad, right? I got Metatron on one side and I got Michael on the other. So, women, stand in your personal power. Men, stand in your personal power. Doesn't matter if this is a boss. Doesn't matter if this is some higher official, somebody over that you have been maybe felt intimidated by in the past. You stand because you don't stand alone. Okay. It's talking about calming your heart too. So if this does go down, and it could, like I said, bring about an ending, right? It could bring about an ending. You could lose your job. You could be asked to leave the house. And that's okay. That's okay, because you're not on your own. You go to soul family. You go to a friend that you know you can trust, and Spirit's going to make your way out. So 25 minutes in, we start the reading, and we're going to pick items to choose from. One is going to be the Foo Dog. Right there. That's a guardian. That's a protector, right? That's loyalty. That's best friend. That's your best friend stepping in, right? To kick ass and take names later. Then we're going to look at the bag. This is what I carry my decks in. Love spoken here. Now, how does that mix when you've got the guardian, right? Kicking ass and taking names later, and then love spoken here? Well, as I said, Jesus was very loving, wasn't he? He was the one that taught us, turn the other cheek. But when the money changers, the Pharisees, were doing business and trading currency in the Father's house. Now, what did I tell you I watched when I went into that, what should have been it should have been where the weddings were taking place. It should have been the temple, right? But they were doing business in the temple. That wasn't meant to happen. That wasn't supposed to happen. Right? It was a place of love, a place of worship, and they were turning it into a business. And all of a sudden, that very loving, meek, and mild, gentle man showed all of the strength that he had of that carpenter, the man who carried big pieces of lumber and worked hard every day, right? Jesus was no slouch. People always think about, I hate the pictures that they have of him on the cross, or in every freaking church I've ever seen, pictures of him, very pale, very thin, right? No muscle. Hello, the man was a carpenter, right? The man was muscular. Anyway, he wasn't sweet and quiet at that moment. He freaking knocked the tables over and threw those people out of his father. He says, get out of my Father's house. And that's exactly what just happened. When that one came forward and said, get the hell out of my house. Get out of my Father's house, right? You're out of here. That may have happened today. Somebody may have been thrown out of their Father's house, okay? Now, sometimes you're thrown out, and that's the best thing that could ever happen to you. Like for me, I was thrown out of my son's life. Best thing that ever happened to me. Not that I lost my son, but I stood on my path. Right? I wasn't going to, that was okay. That was like, okay, you take back all of these garments, all of these coins and purses. I don't want any of it. Take it. It's not worth anything to me anymore, right? So those two things, they don't contradict one another. There's a time and a place for everything. There is justice, right? So then we have the Hummingbird house. The little Hummingbird house. Look at this cute little house. Now, when you traded in all of those opulent costumes and all of the coins that they were trading, you exchanged that. I don't have that now. Now I've been thrown out of my Father's house, right? I've been thrown out of that house. I've given back everything. I don't have that job anymore. I don't have that coin anymore. You've got a beautiful, simple little house. It's beautiful there. It's peaceful. Right? There's your little white picket fence that you always wanted, but you probably couldn't have because you had to do everything the way they wanted it done. On the side of this is a hummingbird. Now, does that mean that forever I'm going to be humble in this little tiny house? This is a symbol of humility and happiness. You should be happy with the simple things in life. But no, because the hummingbird says you will accomplish what might feel impossible to yourself as well as others. You're not going to have nothing. And it talks about grabbing the sweetness in life, right? Too much drama at that other house. Want a sweet little, I would rather be in a simple little house where it's peaceful and drama free, where I can heal, and I will accomplish everything while I'm in this little house, right? So there's that. And then we have what do we have? Interesting. I don't know. I'm gonna look at it. Merlin's wand. See Merlin's staff? I hiked up to the shaman's cave, and I am a shaman, And as I was on my way down the mountain, song right now, what are you waiting for? I found Merlin's wand, Merlin's staff. I'm picking this for sure. I like this. Goes very well with the House of Camelot, right? With the Wisdom of Avalon. All right, so those are our items. Let me put it right here next to me. Love me like you do. What are you waiting for? Okay, we start with the Wisdom of Avalon. We're going to hop, skip, and jump back and forth between the Animal Tarot and the Wisdom of Avalon. For those who chose, now let me remember what they were. I had stories behind everything, didn't I? So we had the bag that carried it. We had... I get so into my stories that I forget. Gosh, I know we've got the Hummingbird house. We've got Merlin's staff. We've got the bag. Good grief. I can't even think. The bag. One was aggressive. One was powerful. One was strength. One was the first one. What is it? Because this was love. It followed. Why can't I see what it is? Oh, how interesting. Well, I'm not going to take up any more time trying to remember what it was. It'll come in a second. The first item, whatever the heck it was one that was very powerful and very strong, and I can't think of what it is right now. And then we'll do this one the second one, that one the third, and that one the fourth. So I wonder what it is. Why can't I remember that? That's funny. Because what sticks with me more than aggression is love. I think that was why. How interesting. Correct for neutrality. For those who chose the first item, ooh, butting of heads still. So it may not have happened, or it might be reaching its climax today. Now, we're going to make this be over the next week, okay? So this is from today until next Saturday. I'm leaving for Sedona on Friday, and I'm staying there. Oh wait, am I leaving Friday? No, I'm leaving Saturday. So Saturday and Sunday I'll be in Sedona. So I would say, yeah, so this is from now until next Saturday. Correct for neutrality on all levels. Correct for neutrality on all levels. For those who chose the first item, that I can't remember for the life of me, the cow. Okay, this is nice because we talked about how what if you were someone who finally stood your ground, right? And got thrown out of the house and you're worrying about finances now. You've lost the job. Maybe it's a job that you're standing up to somebody, right? That was doing something that was not correct. Or it was just not in your highest good and you knew it and you had to get out of there and you finally spoke your truth. Well, the cow is talking about nourishment, abundance. First thing I saw when I saw the cow was abundance. And receiving, asking and receiving. So if you are in a position where you need help, you need to ask, Father, angels, guides, I need your assistance. I'm asking for help. I need somewhere to land. I need somewhere to call, lay my head. I need a job. I need to be carried financially. You know that? Like what did I say when I started? I have to drive. I've got to go to Sedona. I've got something I'm going to look at a house there. And I had to get my items out of that woman's basement. So I've got the money for traveling. I've got the days that I'm gone, that I won't be working, as well as I don't want to just stay steady. I still needed to keep moving forward, right? So I needed to have money coming in. I needed to be financially supported in this trip. So I asked for that. I need help for that. Thank you. And this is also a message about nourishment. So because you think about the cow, milk, and those who are still eating meat, which they won't be for much longer, nourishment in that way. So I'm also going because I was going to go up the coast. I love the coast, to the northern coast, up to Big Sur. I was going to head that way, but it ended up. Remember, what's going on? I fully intended to turn right, but all of a sudden I'm turning left, right? Because Spirit said things may change at the last minute. It's going to be your highest good, but what we have to do is we have to remain flexible. The Falcon kept showing up, and that's one of the messages from Falcon. Remain flexible, because it may be shifting, and everything, the success of everything is determined by your ability to remain flexible. And so I'm heading in a different direction. But the reason I was originally going was because I'd had a lot of energy coming at me. I told you, there's energy that's been coming at me constantly that's been trying to, there's been spells, binding spells, people trying to it's basically throw their shade on me, right? And I said, I just need to get away. I need to get away, and I just need to relax. And so this is about that. This is about self-care, right? So it also, so we've got self-care, we've got asking for assistance, we've got being open to receive that assistance, right? Now that's another thing. I'm asking for this. I need a place. It's time for me to move forward. I know that, so I need a new place. I'm thinking I'm taking that one suite in Upper Sedona, right? Spirit may have something else in mind. It might be different than I thought, right? So we have to stay open to whatever it is. We have to remain flexible. We ask for something. Abundance can come to us in many ways. It doesn't necessarily mean someone's going to put cash in your hand. It could be you can stay here. Like for me, when I'm going out there, so I made a deal. The woman said, why don't you pay me cash? I don't have to run it through the Airbnb. That way it's cheaper. She gets more money and it's cheaper for me. That was a way of being helped by Spirit, right? That was assistance to me. As I said, we may get abundance in different ways. We may get the house that we want, but it's different. We may get the love that we want, but it comes in a different way. We can't tell Spirit how to do it. We just send out what it is that we need, and then we have to stay open to what is in our highest good. And we have to also remember, when we get something, to say thank you. Thank you, I said that. Thank you for those calls, that was perfect. Thank you for the time that I have. You know, I've got a couple days, I get to go to Sedona. What did I say to you guys? I love the rain, I miss the rain. It's gonna be raining the whole time. It's gonna rain while I'm there. That's pretty cool, you know? It's beautiful, it's not gonna be hot, because I don't like the heat. I told you guys, I don't like the heat. So, all of these things that you get, you say thank you for them. Also understand that there is plenty of money to go around in this world. There's no reason for you to be broke. That's why, just because you've got a cute little simple house doesn't mean you're gonna be poor. It doesn't mean you have to stay that way. If you've got that mindset, then maybe you need to cut cords from past life vows that you've taken of poverty. I did. I took vows of poverty. I knew that I said I disavow that. That doesn't fly in my world, right? I'm not saying that I need to be a queen in a castle because I'm an empress, but I don't want to be chasing constantly. I don't want to be constantly chasing the almighty dollar. That's never been me. But I don't either want to be staying up at night worrying that I'm not able to pay my bills. Right? There's plenty of money to go around. There's plenty of abundance. There's plenty of love, plenty of relationships. If that guy doesn't treat you with respect and that guy tells you he's not interested, then there are plenty of other men in the world, right? That's not the be-all, end-all. That's not the last man on earth. The same thing with a woman, right? If you lived in Canada, you'd find somebody there. If you lived in Germany, you'd find somebody there. And you got to look at it like that. There's plenty of love, plenty of money, plenty of assistance to go around for everyone. So ask for what it is that you want. Know that you're going to get what you need, what's in your highest good. Always say thank you. And whenever you can help another, pass it along, right? Be there for others, just like others have been there and will no doubt continue to be there for you. Wish I could remember what the first item was. My chia water, love. I hope I had a first item. Well, second item, we're gonna go to this, to love, okay? Love is spoken here. And we're gonna go to the Animal Tarot. Correct for neutrality on all levels. If anybody would like help with a private reading, I'm your girl. www.theangelswhisper.com or sherrycolumbus@yahoo.com is my email. Let's make sure I'm not busting out all over here. Okay, sometimes my long hair comes in handy. And I love doing my private readings. I've been doing a lot of, I've been doing couples readings lately. Now, I gave somebody a real deal the other day because I didn't realize it was going to be a couple. And normally couples readings is time and a half, right? Because there's two of you getting read for, not just one. So I've got couples readings and I have just regular readings. If you're new to my channel, welcome, hello. Happy to have you. If this is helpful for you and you find it beneficial, please click like and subscribe and share these videos so that the channel grows and most people get the message as possible. I'm not having an easy time shuffling these cards, so let me break it down. There's a message for you. Got too many things right now, overwhelming for you? Break it down. What do you need to get done right now? Break it down into sections. You're trying to figure something out, break it down. Don't look at the whole big thing. Look how easy it is when it's manageable. My hands are little, right? I can't do this easily, but I can break it down into two. Correct for neutrality on all levels. Okay, those who chose, love is spoken here. 4 of summer. Okay, 4 talks about stability. Home hearth talks about angels being with you. There are angels all around you. You're completely guided, protected, and loved. And right here, you can actually see that. The fence is a protection. The bee is an animal messenger. It's also a spirit animal. It's providing victory. That's what the bee represents, sweet victory. It also represents getting busy and getting after the honey. And this one's quite safe in this little corner of the garden, right? Now, the message at this point is there's a couple different things, well, many different things. This tortoise, this is having your house on your home. Having your house on your home. Having your home on your back, right? Wherever I go, wherever I plant my ass, that's my home. That means maybe you travel with not much, right? You don't need a lot. You don't need a lot. Have a little place, it could be good. Maybe you're not gonna leave with much. Maybe you're not gonna, because I've been getting a lot, you know, let go of what isn't, you no longer need to carry. Weed things out, right? Simplify. Could be that. It's also telling you, pay attention to your diet. Make sure you're getting more vegetables in your diet. Spirit wants us to go to a vegetarian diet. Fresh. Grow your own garden, possibly. Because when you get out into the garden, that's a way of helping us get grounded. It's very important to get out into the garden. You get some fresh air. It's healing, beneficial. It's telling you that, there's plenty. There's plenty in there, right? There's plenty of food for this one to eat. But I also feel like he's kind of backed himself into a corner, right? Not wanting to leave that safe spot. It might be that I've got all this to take care of, right? I'm growing a garden. I've got a family to take care of. I've got a home to take care of. I've got a lot of responsibilities. So maybe you've got your nose to the grindstone and you're focusing on what you have to get done, and you're failing to notice everything that you have around you. Like, look, I never fail to notice what I have around me. Every single day I say thank you. When I sit in that window, my desk is right in that room, and I look at this, it's magic. It's like, stop and smell the roses, right? Be grateful for what you have around you. Pay attention to the animal messengers as they come around you. I get to see the most amazing ocean and water birds, and falcons, and ospreys, and redhawks, and vultures. And they fly, because I'm so high in my tower, they fly like right at eye level. It's pretty freaking amazing. So you're being told to pay attention to the gifts that are around you. The gifts that are actually presenting themselves to you. I said to my landlord yesterday, he was trying to figure something out. I had options in front of me, right? I had a choice I had to make about what I was offered as far as a home. And I was kind of nervous about it, and I was thinking about the different options. And I was saying, I need to get clarity on this. And for me, I trust the animal messengers more than I trust anyone. I don't want to listen to another reader. Sometimes my own self, I'm too close to it, right? Because if I listen to a couple different readers, then it's conflicting and I get different opinions. And really, we have our answers within ourselves, right? And I thought, when an animal messenger comes, I know to pay attention to the animal messenger. So when I got my decision, I literally waited, and a couple people wrote to me, what does this mean? And gave me an animal totem. And I was like, wow. Now, one of the messengers that came yesterday was the centipede. And the centipede is actually poisonous, and it moves extremely quickly. So it could talk about quickly moving away from a poisonous situation, or from venom, from nasty venomous words, right? So that's what I just watched happen. It's also telling you that here you are, maybe stuck in this little corner of the world, and you might be afraid to venture out of your safe little garden. I'm safe here, right? It may not be in your highest good where you're at, but you're safe where you're at. So Spirit says, take a look at the opportunities that are in front of you. Remember, nose to the grindstone, I've been working. Well, slow down. The tortoise says, slow down and notice what's going on around you. Now remember, I was saying how my landlord was in the car and the people kept getting in front of us and slowing us down. There's a reason we're supposed to slow down. Slow down. Don't jump on the first opportunity in front of you. It could be that you have different options available to you. Don't think that that's the last thing in front of you. Look at all the opportunities that you're being offered, right? There's treasures everywhere. You don't want to overlook. Pay attention. What was the other message I said? Something keeps coming to you again and again. It's because you haven't learned something or you're not listening. Why do we keep having this happen? Why does this keep happening? Because you're not listening. Oh, my landlord, I had my mind set on my old suite. I wanted that, right? Put my energy in that. I wanted that suite. But then I realized that woman had the right to be there. I can't kick her out of that suite. So I'm thinking, you know, and he kept talking about this other place and I wouldn't listen to him. And he brought it up again. And I said, well, you know what? You keep bringing it up. There's a reason you keep bringing it up. And I haven't even looked at it. So I need to look at it, right? So that if something keeps coming to you, look at it. Why does it keep happening? I don't know. Ask yourself, why does this particular situation keep happening? Why do I keep hearing those numbers? Why do I keep hearing that song? What messages am I not listening to or looking at, right? Maybe you're seeing something through rose-colored glasses. It's not what you want it to be. You want that, but that's not the way it is right now. So maybe there's an alternative and you're not paying attention. So slow down a little bit. Pay attention to what is there. Nothing's going to go by that the tortoise isn't going to see because he's sitting in there in that garden. He's just kind of waiting and watching, right? He's not rushing around like a mad person. He's kind of like sitting and observing. Right? Right now I'm watching 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ducks flying. They're going in a circle. And they're switching. It's awesome. It's kind of like what I watched with downstairs with those cats. One went in one way and another came out leading. And that's what they're doing. They're taking turns leading. I like that. 5, a significant change is occurring. Now 1 dropped out and went down to the lake. 1 dropped out, leaving 4. So a significant change is occurring in your life because it needs to, because there's disruption, because there's upset, because there's whatever, a need for it. So it's happening. And so that was the 5 circling together. The 1 dropped out, went down, and the 4 went off the other way. 4, there are angels all around you. You're completely guided, protected, and loved. There's no reason for fear. The 1 ended up going west, and the 4 have gone, 1 went east, and the 4 went to the west. 1 is leaving. He dropped out. That's a message in itself. Now, duck represents comfort also. Comfort of, you know, I'm used to this comfy place. Right? I'm used to this. I like this. I've got everything I need here. It's not a good place for me to be, right? Nobody knows where they're going. We're going around in circles, right? Somebody needs to take the lead. Somebody needs to make a choice. So what happened? That 1 dropped out and he went east and they all went back to the coast. That's a message in itself. All right. So there's that. And now we go to, and duck also, they're community birds, right? They work together as a team. So even though that 1 dropped out and went that way, we already know that there were angels with them, guiding them, all of them. They went that way and did their thing, and I go that way and do my thing. I'm still being guided by spirit. I'm just dropping out of that and heading in a different direction. So now we go to the Hummingbird house. And, I guess I'll choose this one because I'm also going to choose Merlin's wand, Merlin's staff. And I wanted this, I like this deck. And I said last night to Spirit, well, if I am taking this place that I think I am going to see, that I'm going to go see, I know the card that it will be. Okay. If I am taking this place that I'm going to see, I know the card that it will be. So we all know, when I rhyme, that's my answer. Correct for neutrality. I had quite a spread this morning on these. I shared them on my Facebook page, and I said, I know what they meant. But I said, and in the order that they were laid out was interesting. I should have done that. I didn't tell you guys the order they were laid out. I laid them down. The first one I laid down to the right and I went to my left. Normally, now when they look at that, they're probably going to look at it this way, right? But I was reading it in the reverse. I just laid it down that way. And I said, what do you think this spread means? And I want you guys to answer that. I know what my message was. It was like, wow. Correct for neutrality on all levels. For those who chose the Hummingbird house, and I did, wow, I guess I'm going to the Hummingbird house. And I guess that's what I'll call it, the Hummingbird house. Correct for neutrality. Oh, butting heads. Maybe I won't. Look at that. Because sometimes we think we know what we're doing, right? Interesting. For those who chose the Hummingbird house, maybe there's a Hummingbird house somewhere else. Maybe there's a Hummingbird house somewhere else. Rhyming. The Goblin. The wounded human ego. Uh-oh. So something is about to go sideways. Because this is your ego talking, not your loving self, right? This is not your spiritual self. There is no spirit in ego. There is no ego in spirit. So right now, this is negative self-talk. This is stepping into your ego. Now we talk about, who do you think you are, right? I'm not going to put up with your crap, right? Well, he got his ass kicked. Now what happened afterwards with that prince? I left him down there. I said, you're going to stay in here and you're going to think about that. And I shut the door and I took the girls upstairs. I gave them treats because they were upset, which is exactly a situation. Say there's been this has been happening and this is not okay, and I stood my ground and I'm upset. So what do? We self-love. We give ourselves love. We take care of ourselves, right? And you think about that. Now, at the end of that, after he's not going to stay in that dungeon. He's not going to stay down there being in trouble, right? He got let out. My landlord, he was scared. He's like, shit, now I don't even want to show my face, right? I realized what I did. I know what I did. It was clear he knew what he did. He knew he was bad with what he did. And he was kind of hesitating. And I didn't talk to him because I was going to do my reading. And I knew if I spoke, he would start crying and want to come to me. And I'm like, no, I'm not talking to you. So my landlord picked him up and he says, come on, it's okay. And he picked him up. He goes, we'll go down to the lake. So he took him down there, right? So they went together and going to have a little bit of quiet time. It's kind of like everybody go to their separate corners while everything simmers down, right? And as I say that, crow comes and lands up on a branch. So it was all about boundaries, and it was all about sometimes, you need to just say something. You need to stand your ground. Speak your truth. It doesn't mean you're going to hate somebody. It doesn't mean, you know what, I get mad at you, and just because I'm mad at you doesn't mean I don't love you. It just means that this has got to stop. This behavior has to stop. So this says your plans are about to go awry or sideways. And it could be fear, it could be anger, it could be resentment, it could be arrogance, self-righteousness, right? Just because somebody was put in their place in that particular instance doesn't mean that everything you do is right and that everything, it's just that had to stop, right? Nobody's perfect. We all have times that we make bad choices. We choose wrongly. So don't get stuck into a place of arrogance and self-righteousness. Don't be selfish. Don't be greedy. Don't procrastinate out of fear or worry or anger. Don't dip into now that prince, he's upset. So what are you going to do? I'm going to go get drunk. I'm so stressed out. I'm just going to go get drunk. Well, that's not a way to solve it, is it? Because this also speaks about addiction, right? It also speaks about, I said the other night, said to my landlord, I said I practically needed to tie myself down on my Chase Lounge because at 10:30 at night, I'd been wanting it for a long time, but it got to be 10:30 at night and I was still awake because Liger was sleeping and I didn't want to disturb him. I wanted to go up to Jack in the Box and get one of those chocolate cakes and an Oreo shake. I would have eaten all of them. All of it. Myself, the entire thing, no problem. I would have felt sick afterwards, but I wanted it. And I didn't let myself do it. Sometimes when we're sad, we eat, right? We fill a void somehow. You fill a void with sex. You fill a void with shopping. Don't go blow all your money because you're pissed off, right? A lot of times people do that. Oh, my wife was mad at me and I just got the bill, right? No, that's not cool. So be very careful. When you have a wounded ego, what do you do to make it feel better? Do you fill it with fill that void with something that's not helpful? Or maybe are you coming from an ego? Are you coming from, I only see it from my perspective and I don't see it from your perspective, right? Because there's both. Because remember, when I told that story about what happened, the War of the Roses, there was a lot of different scenarios that could have happened, right? It didn't have to be just the one scenario where a woman told that person. It could have been a man that you thought was somebody that would never speak up for themselves, and they did. It could have been that that person gets thrown out of their house for finally speaking their truth, and they're righteous in doing that. Or it could have been, get the hell out of my house, right? This is not tolerated any longer here. You go. So it could have been either or. So don't be thinking, see? You have to go, so you're the one that did something wrong. No, it could have been that the reason that one's going is because you are toxic, and that is not where they're meant to be. So we have to make sure that we're not coming from an ego, and it's triggering something. Or maybe this is about to happen. You know, I chose this, so I'm listening. I am listening to myself, right? I have to pay attention. Is there some circumstance in our life that is pushing a button? And there's something that happened in the past that's getting triggered. Well, that shows you that there's something from the past that still needs to be triggered. Why did you get your back up so easily? And I got something. Remember I told you that my spiritual twin, we were in this day, and it was a beautiful day, and he said something to me, and it triggered something in me, and I reacted. I saw something today. It was pretty funny. It was a golden retriever, which is your best friend, right? Loyalty, love, friendship, protection. And it said, when your girlfriend knows where you're coming from and learns to like it. And there's the difference, right? I didn't mean what you thought, and I did say that. I meant what I said, but you took it wrong. Now that you understand that, hey, if I ask for something like that, if I say that, I'm actually telling you what I want, and you took it in the wrong way. It could be something like that, right? Lessons. Got to pay attention to everything that comes. So Spirit says right now we need to take self-value evaluation. This is like your own self-inventory, a checklist at this time before we take another step, because there's a wounded ego apparently there. So it may not have happened yet. This may be coming. This is for the next week, right? I got to pay attention too, because there's something that's going to get triggered. Damn. Can you help me not have this triggered? No, apparently it's going to be a lesson. So we got to be careful. Now, it could also be telling you that there's a dynamic between you and someone else. It could be not your ego that's been triggered. Someone else's ego has been triggered because of something you just said, Sherry. Or something that you did, right? You triggered me. You pissed me off. And they're coming from a place of ego. Remember? King of Wands upside down. And I said, well, I'm Aries as well, so maybe I was upside down. But then sometimes the truth hurts, and it needs to be spoken. So I'm usually quick to jump on myself and beat myself up for stuff, you know? So it could be that this is between me and you and someone else. Now, did you notice how I said that? This could be between me and you and someone else. We may not have a problem at all, but there's the third party, that one that keeps trying to come in and cause issues. They have a wounded ego. They're coming from something that they were triggered by. Now, what I watched was one cat, Prince went after one cat, and I thought that's who he was fighting with, but in the end, it was the other cat that stood up and said, this isn't going down. So somebody got triggered. There was something going on, right? It happened before you stepped into that situation. This is a third-party situation. Somebody outside of you could have a wounded ego, a trigger that caused something to happen, and then they did something, and geez, it was made apparent to them. But it's not until after it happens that it's made apparent to them. I love Prince. I love him. I rescued him, right? We spent $3,000 on that cat. I used to sleep in the garage with him because he wasn't allowed to come in the house, and I stayed there with him. And so I saw that in my dreams, somebody who had to live above the garage. They weren't even allowed in their house. I slept with that Prince in the garage, right? Night after night in the cold. I laid on the cold floor with him. I saw that in my dreams too. This beautiful house and this wealthy woman that was lying in this bed. She wasn't well, but this man and his son, they lived in the cold part of the house on the cement. They weren't able to be in that part of the house. So there's all kinds of wounded ego and triggers that are happening, memories that are causing things to happen. So right now, what do we do with this situation? If this is going on with you and someone else, or even if it's coming from inside of yourself, do nothing right now. Do nothing. Just stay quiet and send loving energy to the entire situation. like we did with Prince and the cats. I gave them a treat. My landlord took him down. You know, everybody had to be kind of separated till everybody simmered down. We don't want dissension. We don't want fighting. We want definitely people to allow others to have their space and speak their truth, and it needs to be done in respect, right? Respect others' boundaries. But we don't want fighting. We don't want hatred. So, Father, please fill this entire situation and everyone involved with love, unconditional love. And please help each other see through the eyes of unconditional love. Please don't have them see behind their dark glasses, right? And then that negative energy will start to dissipate. If we can focus on fairness, right? What's fair for you and what's fair for me? What, you know, because you looked at it from your perspective, but I saw it from my perspective. I got triggered from something that happened in my childhood. I was molested, right? I was spoken of, I was mistreated, I was abused. And when somebody spoke to me that way, it triggered something in me. Well, when I reacted the way I did, that person was also triggered because of something that happened to them. So they're looking at it from their perspective. I'm looking at it from my perspective. Both are hurt. Neither one is wrong. Both of them love each other. I love my twin. We had a beautiful time right up until that second, right? And I wasn't even mad at him when he left, but he was mad at me. I didn't even know. So send love to the situation for everyone involved, because we all have wounded children inside. We all have that shadow within us, right? We need to love the shadow. Sometimes the shadow wins, but we don't want that right now. I think I'm looking at another falcon. Oh my God, it might be the osprey. Oh my gosh, it's my osprey. Is it my osprey or are you the hawk? Let me see. You guys can't see it. Can you come back? Can you circle back around? Can you show me who you are? Come on. Come on, come back this way. Come on. Yeah, there you go. Come back. Come back and show me who you are. There you go. Oh, it's the hawk. It's the red hawk. That's my messenger. It's me. I am the red hawk. So that was one of the cards that I got earlier today. You probably can't even see her, but you'll know because the crows are going to start dive bombing her as soon as she gets close. That's what happens, right? Because people don't like the messenger. They don't like the stuff that comes from the messenger. They don't want to hear what we have to say. And they're taking it quite personally, not recognizing it's coming from spirit, right? And it's actually not to hurt somebody. It's actually not to beat somebody. It's actually to help everybody. It comes from love, right? That's definitely the red hawk. So when I started shuffling the deck, when I knew that I was going to be working with the Wisdom of Avalon, that was, well, it's in the spread. You'll see the spread that I shared. The hawk was there. So I'll show you the members that were there. The horse was there. The first thing that came out was, what was it that came out? I know the horse was second, and then the hawk was there, and then they showed the Grail Knight, and then they showed the Queen, and the one to the far corner of the right, I can't remember. So what we saw was the Grail Knight down here, and the Red Hawk. They are joined, right? They're together. The Queen that stood next to the Grail Knight had his back to that Queen, and the horse was heading in that direction, and so was the Red Hawk. They were both going in the same direction. It meant forward movement. It also meant a message is coming, right? There was a problem between that Queen and that Grail Knight. And the Grail Knight had turned his back on the Queen, and it was a problem. And there was going to be forward movement, and the hawk and the horse were moving together. And I can't remember the corner message that was there, but it's interesting that just showed up. So that was the third. So now we work with Merlin's Staff, Merlin's Wand. I freaking love this. I couldn't get over it when I found that. I found it at the top of the Shaman's Cave. And what was interesting, that was the day I had to slide down the side of the mountain. There's the 7 sacred pools that are there. It's named after the 7 sacred pools in Hawaii. And I got to tell you, coming down that mountain carrying that big staff, that was, it's not a staff you walk with, right? I had to make sure it was protected, and dang, it was hard. Okay, so for those who chose Merlin's Wand, and I did, I'm going to ask Spirit, because I wanted to work with Wisdom of Avalon for both my cards, but maybe I'm not allowed. Correct for neutrality on all levels. Is it the left or the right How funny. And I switched them over and I heard the right and it is this one. So I don't get what I want all the time, right? And that's the message. You don't always get what you want, Sherry. It's not all about you. Other people have choices too. Oh, you don't always get what you want, Sherry. It's not all about you. Other people get choices too. Every time I rhyme, I get my own messages, right? I'm gonna write these down. I gotta start keeping a journal of all the statements that I make that rhyme. Oh my goodness. So this is what I would really like. Yeah, but you know what? This is what I really have to have. And if you want to be there with me, this is what we need to do. I'll take into consideration what it is that you want, but what you need to have. Compromise, right? You need to come to a compromise about what's in the highest good. Because somebody asked me, you know, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you be? And if I had to move forward on my own, right? Well, you pick where you want to go. But if I was going with a partner, that would radically change. It wouldn't necessarily be what I have chosen if I was going, if it was just me, right? It wouldn't necessarily be what I had chosen if it was just me. So then it changes. Correct for neutrality on all levels. And yet you have to be willing to compromise with the ones you love, right? Of course. Or period, right? Correct for neutrality on all levels. For those who chose Merlin's Staff, and I did, for those who chose Merlin's Staff, there's a message coming, P.S. There is a message coming. Be prepared, be ready. Be on the alert. If there's somebody that has had a difficulty, like we just watched happen as far as the messages that I told you, the War of the Roses, right, and somebody comes to you for help, be ready to roll. Because we're taught, if you can help somebody, help them, right? Don't be judging, don't look down at them if they're in need of help. That's the message, right? Even if I'm mad at you, if I would never wish something ill upon Prince. I love him, right? Even though I yelled at him and he was a bad boy for what he did, but I never wished ill upon him. Correct for neutrality on all levels. And if that person needed to be in need of help right then, that's what you'd have to deal with. It's kind of like holding the umbrella up when it's pouring rain on somebody else, even though you're mad at them. You don't want them to get wet, but stay over there, right? Correct for neutrality, separate corners. It's going to rain pretty soon, and that's another message. It is going to rain. So there's a lot of, as you can see, the wind in the air and the clouds in the sky. Things are kind of cloudy. The winds of change are happening, and the rain could be tears and heavy emotion. It's very changeable. Everything is very tumultuous right now. Anything can happen. Correct for neutrality on all levels. For those who chose Merlin's wand or staff. Every time. So here's the king, right? And he's listening to this little bird sing. Here's the king, and he's listening to this little bird sing. Now, what does sing represent? Speaking, right? And that king, look how big he is. That's like Prince, right? He was huge. And that little girl, Cat, she didn't care. She's a freaking panther. She kicked his ass, or he, right? And here's this king. He's pretty grand. He's pretty impressive. Look at his beautiful red robe, right? And his crown, and he's ginormous. I mean, look at that king. What I like about this king, what I think is so cool about this king, look how quiet he is listening to that little bird. He didn't get to be a king because he didn't know how to listen to the right people. Remember the sacred fool, right? The king doesn't ask his royal council. He doesn't ask the knights. He asks the sacred fool because he knows, even though they say that person's just a fool, right? Why would you tell him that? He could have you thrown in the dungeon. Why would you tell him that? Remember the dungeon downstairs? That's where Prince ran, into the dungeon. I said, that's what my landlord calls it, the dungeon. He could have you thrown into the dungeon for speaking your truth. But this is a wise little bird. This is a sparrow, a victory sparrow, right? And who did I say who emerged victorious? The panther cat emerged victorious. And so here's this little bird talking to the king. So what's going on here is the bird has something important to say, and the king is wise enough to listen. He's not listening. He's not attacking this little bird. All he'd have to do is go, whoosh, and he's gone, right? That bird's out. But he's not doing that. He's not doing that. And think of how brave that sparrow is to stand and face the king and speak his truth, sing his truth, right? Remember the beginning story about how the person went in and said, here, you can take all this back. You can take your robe back. You can take your gold coins back. You can take this gold crown. It's not for me. The person in my dream was not rude at all. They were very pleasant. Remember, they went over to the people and said, I know how it feels. I know what it feels like to feel left out and pushed to the side, right? I know how it feels. I grew up that way too, right? It's not a nice place to be. As a Jehovah's Witness, anyone who wasn't a Jehovah's Witness was called a worldly person. I wasn't allowed to date anyone. I wasn't allowed to go to any parties. I wasn't allowed to be, I was nominated to be princess in high school, and I wasn't allowed to accept it. I wasn't allowed to associate in any way. And you looked at those people out there celebrating these pagan holidays as they were pagans and they were evil, and I didn't think they were evil, and I don't think actually they said that they were evil. I take that back. I didn't say they were evil. They just said they were not doing the right thing, okay? And I've said to you guys before, if a Jehovah's Witness comes to your door, please don't slam it. I've said to you before, if a Jehovah's Witness comes to the door, don't slam it. It takes a lot to do that. It's hard. So they're doing what they think is right. It's just not right for me. And that's what the sparrow was saying to the king. You can take this back. And that's how that person spoke. The person was not arrogant. The person was not telling the king off and telling you where to go and how to get there. Not at all. Look how peaceful this conversation is, right? This is a conversation where one is speaking and one is listening. And at this time, the king is listening. I have great respect for this king. This may not be his way, but he's thinking that, you know what, this one's got something to say. Oh my God. There's a commercial on the radio that I hear all the time. And there was a man in the grocery store and an elderly gentleman in front of him. And the man went to pay for his items and didn't have enough money. Didn't realize, and he was quite embarrassed. And so he went to put a box of cereal back on the shelf. And the man behind him, a young man, pretended to drop a $5 bill on the ground. Not pretended. He dropped a $5 bill on the ground. He picked it up and he said to the man, here, I'm sorry, this fell out of your wallet. I guess you didn't realize that. And the man says, oh, thank you. And he pays for his items and he leaves. Now the person that's talking is somebody like this. And he's listening to this person. And he's watching this exchange go on. And as soon as that old man left the store with his items, that young guy went back to the cooler and put one of his beer cases back. He had 2 cases of beer, 2 6-packs, and he put one back. So clearly that $5 bill didn't fall out of that man's wallet. It was his $5 bill, and he gave it to that man. And that man was watching, and he said, I wish I had known that man's name. I would have given him a job in my company, because I know that that person is honest and honorable and decent and kind. That's a decent person, right? And I'm getting emotional right now. I see both of that happening here. I think that this is a decent, honorable, upstanding, courageous, victorious sparrow. And I think this is an honorable king. No matter what has happened previously, at this time, this king is listening to this little bird of no consequence. This is a sparrow. There's hundreds of them. You can't even tell them apart, right? They're just lowly. They're nothing. You know, in the Bible times, they were worth nothing when they went to trade at the market. A sparrow. And yet, a sparrow can survive anywhere. A sparrow will be found in any place in the world. Any place in the world, and they will be successful where they go. And this is also the pet of Aphrodite, right? This is the sparrow of love. It is also the victorious sparrow, and that's what it speaks of, the bird of victory. It's also the comeback kid, the long shot horse. And I told you what I saw. It was the Prince of Summer that was running. That horse with the crown, he had a crown. He was a prince. He was running. The Grail Knight was down here. The prince was running that way. The Red Hawk was going with it. With the queen, and I almost said the wicked queen, was sitting down here, and that's who the Grail Knight turned their back upon. Wish I could remember what was in the right corner. But right now, that's what I'm seeing happening here. There's many other messages to this as well. The look on the king's face. He doesn't look real friendly. He doesn't like what he's hearing. So, are you the king listening to this little bird, and you're going to get caught in that place of wounded ego that Spirit spoke about? Right? Don't do that. Don't get triggered by your wounded ego or your arrogant ego. Right? Don't get triggered. But it also could be that this king doesn't like what he's hearing because the fool is now telling him something that he didn't know, that his trusted supporters and guides and royal court lied to him about, hid from him. like what I said in the very beginning, when King Richard went away to fight the Crusades, it was a holy war. This is a decent king. Went to fight the Crusades. The wicked one came in and took over and started abusing the ones in the house. And now here's the one telling the story of how this one was abused and how, and he says, I don't like what I'm hearing. This is what happened to my family. This is what happened to the ones that I loved when I wasn't here. I asked you to take care of them, and this is what you did, right? It could be that going on. Now, another message to this, the message of this card itself, is now it's your moment to step up in a leadership role. Don't back away from the spotlight. Your plans will be successful as long as you stay focused on the big picture. Don't look at just what's going on in front of you, right? That's what's happening with the king and the bird here. This bird has been asked to step up into a role of leadership, right? And it's kind of like Moses going before Pharaoh. Oh my God, how can I do this? Well, don't look at the big picture. Who's standing next to me? Angels, right? I got Metatron on one side, and I got Sandalphon on the other. I got Michael behind me, and a myriad of angels. And our Father is telling us to do this, right? Don't be frightened to step up. It also talks about you are this energy, this beautiful energy, this powerful, courageous, royal leader. And you should be proud of yourself for that. Not in a way of arrogance, but you didn't attain this seat of victory for no reason. You went off to fight the Holy War. You went off to fight the Crusades, right? All that shit came down when you were gone, and you're going to deal with it now. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. That might have been what we saw happen downstairs. You thought you were dealing with that one. What went in that one end of the couch, the other one came out. The panther came out the other side. You went in after this person, and because I was letting you think that, that's who I was, I came out the other end because I'm going to let you know who I really am. That's when Robin Hood takes off his masks and let you know it's me, right? So it means it's your moment to shine. It's your moment to stand up, right? Right now people are going to be inspired by what you have to share because you're being given information that's important. That's why the Red Hawk showed up, right? Don't shy away. It's going to be a successful time. Emphasis on success. However, I'm looking at a bunch of crows, so this is also about delegating authority because the king, he doesn't have to get down and dirty and roll in the muck and mire. He's got people that would do that for him. He's got knights that go out and do that for him. This king isn't afraid to go out there and do it himself, clearly because King Richard went off and fought the Crusades, right? But as the king, he's got subjects and he's got his royal council and he's got his soldiers that work for him. The message, all the right friends in all the right places, right? That's what this king's got. He knows how to delegate authority. So it's asking you also, don't think that you have to do it all yourself and expect that you can and will be helped. It will be there for you. Again. Also, it's telling you that if you have the energy of this one in front of you, this dramatic, ambitious, wise man, or a leader or a woman, I told you I'm half lion, half tiger, right? You can listen to this one. You can listen to the advice that comes forward because they're clearly speaking from God, right? They're speaking of what they know. They could be speaking about literally just a business. They're qualified. I speak from my experience. I've been through this. I know how this happens. I know how to deal with this bullshit. This may be new to you. It's not new to me, right? Who went in one side of the couch and came out the other side. I came out the other side. I fight in the forest. I grew up in there. I don't know who you think you're dealing with. It's not that one. You're dealing now with me. I am also Panther, right? So you can be listened to. You may be experienced in something that somebody else isn't. And remember the ego, let's not get a place of ego, Sherry. It's not all about you. Other people have an opinion. Other people have good ideas. Other people have more experience than you in certain areas. We all have experience in a lot of different things. You don't have to be a CEO of a corporation for somebody to, you may be a CEO of a corporation. That may be you standing there. And you're listening to that bird because you know that bird's got information about stuff that I don't know about. I'm good at this, but I'm not good at that. So you've got stuff to share with one another. The king can offer protection, right? And assistance and position, right? I'd like to have you work for me. Remember that guy I'd like to find that young one's name and ask them to come work for me because I know I'm going to have somebody that's honest, somebody that's loyal, right? Or if this king is looking for someone, for his royal court, he's going to pick someone that he knows is courageous and brave and stands and speaks their truth and is loyal and determined and can make it through the thick and thin. This one doesn't need to have a royal house to survive. This one has survived on the streets, right? So you would be wise to follow the advice of whoever this is emulating. Also, the bird flies, right? Which means look at things from a higher perspective. So the king is being told, you know what? What if you were stripped of your crown? Remember? What if you were stripped of that crown and you had to go? Then what? I don't have that beautiful cape. I don't have that opulent lifestyle. I don't have that coin. Now what? You look at things from a higher perspective. You look to spirit. Allow your mind to go higher than what's right in front of you here, right? Also, this king, he likes to be the star. He's a Leo. He's a king. He's a lion. He's used to having everyone listen to his roaring in the jungle, right? People look up to me. He doesn't like to be upstaged. He doesn't like to be told that he doesn't know how to run his kingdom, because he does know how to run his kingdom. I'm just watching a really interesting sight. It went by too quickly. Right there, a crow is actually attacking a vulture. I don't know if you saw that, but that was pretty crazy, because the vulture is probably 3 times the size of that crow, but that vulture was going close to that crow's nest. And that crow says, I got babies in here. I don't care who you are. There's another example, right? Doesn't matter the size. So now the crow chasing the vulture. The vulture talks about death, transformation, and rebirth. And the crow was chasing that vulture away. So your shadow, it's the shadow aspect of yourself, because the crow is always talking about coming out of the void. So there's an aspect that one was chasing away, and they're still doing it. I'm watching him dive bomb. Now there's another one dive bombing that same vulture. So the vulture is trying to pick off what doesn't belong to him. He's bigger. He's bigger. Just like Prince was bigger. He's a bully. He's bigger. And those crows are saying, I don't care how big you are, you stay away from my babies, period. That's what's happening too, right? So there's been a death and a rebirth in a different way, just like we watched downstairs. There was a death of the way that the one went in one way, came out the other way. I went in passive and you were beating me up and telling me off and being a bully to me, but we came out the other end and I am now victorious and I've stepped into my panther power, right? I love these messages. I love watching these animals go around. So the king, be respectful to the king, right? This is a good king. Be respectful of him. Say thank you to him. He's listening to you, right? Don't be a cocky little bugger. Don't be a cocky little thinking you know it all that in a bag of chips, because you got something to say, but that's it. That's cool. I'm listening to you. Don't take it too far. Don't push it. Respect my boundaries. You are speaking to a king, right? So kings are very majestic, right? They've got that air, right? They're like a big cat too, though. They're like a pussy cat. So it's also saying that you can get a lot further with this big lion by stroking his mane and being sweet to him and respectful of him than by being disrespectful and telling him off. There's, like I said, one thing about being righteously indignant and speaking your truth and not backing down when this king is upside down or someone else is. But if the king comes to you with respect, you treat the king with respect, right? Be kind to this one. It's kind of, be smart. The king is smart by listening to the bird. But the bird would be smart to treat the king with respect, because the king can do a lot for it. You basically can do a lot for each other, right? This is an unlikely duo, right? They don't look like they match up very well, but they do. And what I like about this is loyalty. There's loyalty in both. So right now, Spirit says it's time for you to be courageous, go after your goals, step into the light, speak your truth. All about balance. It's all about balance. I like how the king has elevated. He's on his palace platform, right? And Spirit brought this little bird didn't come up and walk up to the king like this. He flew up to his level. Think about that. He came up to his level. So when this bird came to speak to the king, he wouldn't be speaking to the king down here, right? The king would just step on him. Go away. Like, obviously this bird knew how to speak to the king. He came up to his level. He raised up to at least to where they could see one another, right? Which is another way of saying, like I was saying, I've been there. I understand that you're the king. I recognize that. And I recognize that you are very good at what you do. And, I have all respect for that. I have respect for your authority. Absolutely. But there's a few things that you're not aware of. So, Your Highness, can I speak? May I speak to you? And the king says, of course. Granted. Go ahead, speak. All right? La, 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 la. This is a message about me and my dad, right? My stepdad. I had some things I needed to say to my stepdad. I was told to speak to my stepdad. And the things that I had to say, he wasn't going to like. He was already not happy with me. And I went to him, and he basically summoned me as a king. He didn't even speak to me. He had my daughter do it. Tell her to get here, leaves her phone in her car, want her in front of me now. And I was like, I don't know who you think you're talking to. I realize that you're my dad, but I'm not a 12-year-old anymore. I'm a grown-ass woman, and the way you handled things was not right. But I went. Spirit told me to go. I didn't want to go. I thought it's really not a good time to go because I was riled up, right? And Spirit said, no, you go, and you speak your truth. And I thought, oh, God. So I got in there, and he was quite condescending, and he kind of smirked, and kind of with that look on his face. And he said, have a seat. So I sat down. I dressed up like I was going to an interview, right? And he says, go ahead, speak. And I said, no, you know what? I would request you to speak first. I said to him, I think I would like you to speak first, because when I speak, I'm going to speak what I have to say. And he says, no, go ahead. Thinking he was, And then I spoke. And he didn't like the way I spoke. He didn't like what I had to say. And I look back at it now, and would I do things differently? Probably. I would try to refrain. I was very upset, right? But he wasn't able to hear me, and we weren't crossing, and he said, we're done here. He wasn't able to hear because he didn't like what I had to say. It was the truth. But remember what I said when I spoke to Tony? What I said I meant. Maybe I could have said it in a different way. Probably. But what my father said to me is, you opened your mouth and your mother came out. And I said, there's a trigger. So it pushed a trigger in him. It wasn't even me. It was the fact that it brought back all of the problems between my mom and him. As soon as I opened my mouth, and I said, I am not my mom. I have her voice. I sound like her, but I'm not her. And you can't project everything from whatever happened with you onto her, because what I had to say was from me. So there's all of that needing to be said, because this is affecting obviously other people with this same situation. And I have, since that time, like I said, I've been very respectful. But sometimes just because you're the king doesn't mean that you're deserving of me respecting the way that you speak to me. They met on the same level, right? They were eye to eye. But the king in that situation was looking at a child, wasn't looking at a woman, a grown woman that had raised her children and hadn't done anything wrong and had always been there, had always been loyal, right? He didn't see that. He just saw himself as the king, and I was the subject that was summoned. So sometimes we have to stand, and sometimes it's not pleasant, and that's why the deck that I saw, the queen was over here, and the Grail Knight had his back to the queen, and the horse was running, and the hawk was going with them. That was spirit going that way, and that was not wrong for that prince to do at that time. So what played out downstairs may have been just that situation. It looked really bad, right? That was your mother. That was your father. That wasn't okay what happened, and that one stood up finally, and it looked really bad, right? All right, you guys, that's it. It's getting sunny here now, and I'm hungry. So I hope you've enjoyed this reading. I'll let you take a sweep of the lake. Let's see if we have any other messengers that have anything else to say. So pretty. Everyone's wrapping up. It must be dinner time for everyone. Boats are going home. So pretty. Look at that. All my messengers are gone. They just came when they needed to come. Isn't that interesting? All right, you guys. Have a beautiful day. Thanks for being with me. Ahoy, mateys.